What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Here we are again with another video. This time I'm going to be showing you guys how to detail or wash the exterior of your Honda. So I'm sure you guys are all aware of, of a typical Honda's paint being pretty bad. Unfortunately, the Japanese focus more on their engine, what we really love, and they kind of neglect the details on the paint. Their paint is pretty crappy. If you see 90% of the Hondas on the street start peeling after a few years. And honestly, I think the real reason is because nobody ever waxes their vehicle. Because, the clear coat's real delicate and it's only going to take so much beating from the sun. So you always want to give it an extra protection, and also the proper care to maintain that wax on there so it lasts for a long time. Alright, so I've been professionally detailing for a few years now, so I think, I'm capable of showing somebody, how to properly maintain the clear coat on their paint. And the reason why I'm using the cord today is because the CRX has no gloss. And this car actually has gloss, so I could actually show a little bit more detail. Because the CRX, is just plastic dip, so there's really no protection to really protect. It's just plastic dip. I'll eventually end up peeling it off, and if it starts peeling off, then it'll help me out. So basically what I'll be showing you guys today is how to wash the exterior without creating swirls. Alright guys, so when it comes to washing the exterior of your car, you always want to start with the wheels, because this is basically the dirtiest part of your car, and you don't want to wash the paint and then you come in here and spray the wheel wells and you get all that dirt on top. So you want to prevent all this dirt from coming and hitting your clean surface after you wash your car. Like I mentioned earlier, this car was brought from Chicago, so it had a lot of corrosion on the wheels, and I had a little extra paint from the engine bay, so I went out and sprayed the wheels white. And if you guys can see, I don't know if the camera's gonna catch this, but if you guys can see in here, there's so much brake dust. And this is basically what you would consider a fine sandpaper. Another thing you really never want to do is hit one of those car washes. Alright guys, so here I am in the car wash. If you can see, this is the brush 90% of the people use to wash their car. And this is honestly the worst thing you could ever use. You see, I remember back in the day when I wasn't aware of detailing cars, the first thing I would do is scrub the wheels with that brush. And then after that, I would come around and scrub the car around. And that's pretty much using all that brake dust as sandpaper, because it's such a fine dust and clear so soft that all you do is create swirls, scratch it all up. So this is the worst thing you could do. And then the other thing about these car washes is 90% of the time they have to recycle their water, because the city won't allow all those chemicals to run through their sewers. So they end up reusing that water, and a lot of times, degreasers aren't going to be filtered out. So every time you wash your car, you're washing it with degreaser. So you're basically removing the wax off the clear coat. So now you have no protection. So this, these things are cheap, but it's really not worth it. I mean, if you have no other choice but to come to one of these places because you live in an apartment or something, the best thing to do is just bring a bucket. They sell these buckets at Walmart for like $6. I'll post a picture on here where you could buy them and fill them up and bring them when you come out here. Now that I professionally detail, I value the paint of a vehicle a lot better than I used to. That's for sure. And like I said, Honda has real horrible paint, so that's basically the main goal, to maintain it as best top quality glossy look as you can. I have a separate bucket just for my wheels, so I use different type of brushes. As you can see, this one's real small. Then I got this other bigger one. Then I got for my tires. And then my handy dandy microfiber towel that I use to clean the surface of the wheel. You know, I'm not a fan of using a brush around the wheels, especially if they're, you know, nice wheels. You don't want to scratch them. So I find that a microfiber is pretty good, and then you just come in here and soak it. So another thing that I'm a big fan of is an electric pressure washer, because as you guys can hear, I actually have it hooked up right now, but it's actually off. So I got my electric pressure washer here, and as soon as I hit this trigger, it's gonna start spraying. So that's the convenience of having a electric pressure washer. You see, this is my old pressure washer I used to have in my van. So it's pretty worn out, so it's not as strong as it used to be when I first got it, because I was using it as gravity fed, and it's not designed for that. So, you know, it did put a little bit of wear and tear into the little engine because it was forcing it. So it's not as powerful anymore. You see, I got a yellow tip. This is one of the finest tips. You don't want to use this with a good pressure washer because it'll destroy everything. You know, you got high chance of peeling your paint off, so you don't want to do that. You know, this pressure washer is just, like I said, it's pretty weak. So, you know, it was just more of a purpose of me showing you guys it could be done with an electric pressure washer. Alright, so when it comes to a cleaner for your wheels, you know, I've found so many products online because, you know, I'm a professional, what you call professional detailer, and, you know, I run into so many chemicals, and I've tried out a lot, and it's one of those things, you know, that, you know, you got so much products and it's hard to find a real good one. So typically the best cleaner is an acid cleaner, but I'm not a fan of that because a lot of wheels could get damaged with acid. And if you don't know what you're doing, you could really damage your wheels. So, you know, I try to avoid that scenario because it's just not worth it. I don't want to mess up somebody's wheels and you know, it end up backfiring, and, you know, it costs me more than what I'm doing for a job. So what I've learned to use is just basically go out and get dish soap. Like I said, you don't want to use dish soap on your paint, but you could actually use dish soap on your wheels. So what I'll do is I'll get a dish soap bottle, and I'll pour some in here, and I'll get some of my degreaser, my super degreaser from McGuire's, and add a little bit on there too. That way it has a little bit more power, and then I'll spray it out, and that's what I'll use for my wheel cleaner. So nothing fancy. Alright, so there's that wheel I just cleaned. And here's a wheel that hasn't been cleaned. You guys can see right here, all this brake dust. Alright guys, so here you guys have my 3 bucket setup. So I got my wheel bucket with all the stuff, and there's actually a black grit guard in there too. So then this is my clean wash mitt, just when it's clean water. And then here's my scrub. This is my dirty water. So after every time I go around the car, I'll come in here and I have this set up. This is actually just a Walmart bucket that you guys could get, like I mentioned before. So basically what I did was order one of these, you know, little basket angle grit guards. I'm not 100% what they were called. So what I'll do is I'll throw it on there. So now I got a place to scrub every time I come in and dip it in. That way it helps remove more dirt. I haven't cleaned them out, so I can show you guys what kind of dirt collects underneath. And if you guys see that, it basically traps all the dirt in the bottom. You know, you guys can see that that's all dirt. So, you know, they're not going to do 100%, but they do help out. So it's definitely worth having these. I think this one's a chemical, guys. You know, they came out with this design. It's supposedly you know, creates like a suction, a vacuum suction, and it traps the dirt on the bottom. You know, it seems to be working pretty good. So I got one of these in here too for my wheels. That way, you know, brake dust just collects on the bottom and I don't have to worry about brushes being full of brake dust all the time. But yeah, let me clean these out. Another real important part of washing your car is the soap you use. You definitely don't want to use a dishwash soap, because that's going to remove everything off your car. It's a degreaser, so it's basically going to remove all that wax. Like I said, in the car wash, they recycle water, so it has, you know, if they use degreaser on the wash, you know, it's gonna probably still be in the water, because it's always gonna be some trace of degreaser, so it's gonna remove, you know, your waxes. So you definitely don't want to use dishwash soap. So this is basically what I use. I use Hyperwash for my professional detailing. You know, when I go out and detail, this thing is insane amount of thickness it has. It's basically solid syrup, like honey. So I do buy this in bulk because it's cheaper for me. And this thing is real good, because if you see the dilution, it's 400:1. So that means basically a little drop, you know, basically a little cap of that bottle will basically do, you know. This thing's real thick. So I am a big fan of McGuire's, because they've been out there, you know, in the world for so long. So, you know, they got a good reputation and they got a lot of good products. You know, they're all basically pretty friendly products, so anybody can basically use them. So another good soap you could use is this Gold Class, like you guys seen on the CRX. This is basically what I use. And also you could get on eBay and order one of these cheap foam cannons. So I got a little trick that you could do to, you know, to make this thing work even better, because these things go for like 12 bucks maybe. I'm not 100% sure, because it's been so long since I bought it, so I'll look it up and I'll post it on here. So basically you could buy one of these for like, let's say 20 bucks, and then inside, I'll post a clip on here. Inside here there's a little jet. I forget the proper name for it. I'll show you guys when I find out the information. And so basically what that little jet does is it reduces the little hole where the pressure washer goes through, so it creates more power, more jet power to push through, so it creates a lot more foam. So basically that little piece is like $15, maybe $20 with shipping. So all in all, for like $40 you could get yourself a real good foam cannon if you don't detail as much like I do. You know, I do have this professional one, and they basically go hand in hand. It's hard to really tell which one works better. I think this one is running me about $100 with that little piece that I mentioned. So basically for a person that, you know, does it at home, this is your go-to for sure, because if you don't detail as much like I do, you can literally just fill up that cannon with just soap, maybe add a little bit of water just to help it, you know, thin out a little bit better, so it runs smoother. But you can literally add that much soap and then just a little bit of water just to help it out, and you're gonna get some amazing results. You know, like you guys seen on the CRX. You know, this thing's so cheap. You know, you could probably do maybe 10 car washes out of this. You know, I do have a smaller bottle on that tank. It's typically bigger. Alright guys, so now that I got all the wheels cleaned out, I went all around and got all the wheels. Now comes the technical part. So you want to go around and spray the dirt off, you know, as much as you can. And that's why, you know, I highly recommend a pressure washer, because it actually helps. Even an electric one is just better than just a regular hose. You know, if you don't got the option, a regular water hose will do. But still, if you have a pressure washer, you want to take advantage of it to help you remove as much dirt as you can before you actually, you know, start scrubbing the car. Because you want to remove as much dirt, because you don't, like I said, you know, that dirt just creates basically a wet sandpaper, so you don't want to be creating more swirls than you need to. Alright, so I don't know if you guys noticed, but I started spraying on that side. So basically you want You want to start spraying the shaded area, that way the sun's not beating on it and evaporating it. So by the time you come here, you know, it's shaded over there, so it's not going to evaporate. If you spray this side, it's going to evaporate while you're spraying the other side. So you don't want that, because you're going to get water stains, and those are the worst. You're going to have to polish them out to get them out, and you don't want water stains. So that's kind of the basic concept I use when I foam it up. So I'll start foaming it up here just because it's going to give it a white layer, and that white layer is not going to get as hot if it was black. So that helps a little bit. So I'll foam up this side, and then I'll go to the other side and foam that side, and then I'll come back and I'll re-foam this, just thicken it out even more. So once I got it all foamed out, I'll go and I'll scrub that side in the shaded area, because I know once I remove all that soap, it's gonna give me time to come here where it's real thick still, and I can scrub this side. Because if I scrub this side first, it's gonna thin it out. I'm gonna remove all the suds, and it's gonna thin it out, and the sun is just gonna bake on it, and it's gonna give me water stains, soap stains, and I definitely don't want that. So that's kind of the technique I use when I wash a car out in the sun, you know, and I'm mobile detail, so you know that's 90% of the time, so I don't have a shaded spot. So you know, it's just little tricks I've learned. So yeah, like I said, let me foam it up. So another thing with the foam cannon, the closer you get, the more foam you get out of it. So you know, that's kind of what you want to do. You want to get close, especially with electric pressure washer. Because if I use the gas one, this thing would be covered in suds right now with this soap. So if you guys can see, it's already, you know, running down, and the sun's getting to it, and I just went around the other side. Alright guys, so if you guys have a lot of bugs, this is the sponge I recommend. They sell these at Walmart for like $2, so you could go out there and get one, and I think the label says it's a bug. It's a sponge designed for the bug. So basically what you want to do is just let the soap do the work. You know, it's got kind of like little holes. I'm sure the camera's kind of catching, so it's got like a different type of texture to it. So you want to let the water just, you know, soak the bugs out, and then let the sponge just glide over the top. You don't want to be forcing it, especially when they're brand new. It's best because they're stiff and, you know, they do the job. So you just want to, you know, go over it. And the way you know, the reason why I really like to foam it up is because you want to use this like shaving cream. If you use shaving cream, you know, it just feels so much smoother, and you want to use this foam to push the dirt off. So that way the sponge doesn't really do the job. It just kind of helping push that foam out and push that dirt out. So that's basically the key of using all this foam. Because everybody says that this foam, you know, let it sit and dwell and it's gonna soften it up, but it doesn't. You know, the dirt's caked on there, and it's not gonna break free. So you want to just use this foam to, you know, just push all that dirt out. So that way the sponge does the less job, and that, you know, prevents swirls from coming through. The other example of shaving is that when you scrub, you want to go straight lines like shaving. You don't want to go circles, because if you go circles, that's how you scratch yourself with a razor blade. You know, you want to use, you know, straight up and down motions. You don't want to go swirl because you're going to scratch yourself. So that's basically the same concept with the paint. You want to go straight lines. That way you eliminate all those swirls, because if you go around and scrubbing like this, if you focus in the paint, you know, I'll post a picture of a real swirl car here. You know, it's all swirls. So basically you want to eliminate that. So basically you just want to scrub down. So you see, just me talking, it's already evaporating, so I'm gonna foam it up. The other reason why I like sponges like this, not just a regular mitt, is because you actually got two sides to the sponge. So you see, I just hit that panel with this side. So now I can move on to the next panel and hit it with the other side. And then after I do 2 panels, I'll come and I'll dip into my bucket and clean it off. That way I can have my clean sponge for the other panel. And what I do too is, you know, I separate my car into 4 sections. So this fender is one section, this door is another section, and so on, so on. So basically you got 4 sections. And so that's where you want to, you know, take advantage of the side. So you know, you got 1, 2. So basically you scrub 1, 2 panels, and then you wash them and you repeat. And you do the same thing all around the car. And then, like I said, you know, just keep doing those straight motions back and forth. That way you eliminate the risk of scratching your car. If you guys can see how thick the foam really gets. And there we have it. Now I can start spraying it, and this time I am going to spray this side because I don't want this soap drying up with the sun. Alright guys, so a good way to tell if you still have wax on your car, if you guys can see, it's still you got beads right there. So that's a good indication because the water's not sticky. And also when you spray, you'll see the water just run off. You see that? So that means your car's still protected. And you know, once you start seeing it kind of slow down, that's when you want to add another layer of wax just to keep it protected, because you don't want that sun beating on it. Alright guys, so now that it's all washed up, you know, it's the drying time. So I got these microfiber towels. You know, you just want to dry one direction. Don't swirl, don't ever swirl, because that's where you start getting those swirls. And then another thing, if you're working under the sun, try to prioritize your windows, because that's really where you get a lot of water stains. So try to, you know, pass this one. And then I do carry my window towel just to come over it after I do this, because on the windows this one does not do a fine job, but the window towel will. So now I pretty much dried the whole surface. You know, now you're still getting some water run. So what I do is I use my D-wall blower. It's a little leaf blower that I use, and this thing's real powerful. I actually modified this thing that way if I actually accidentally bump the paint, I got this soft surface so it won't damage the paint. But you know, I never get that close anyways. So now what I'm gonna do is just go around the whole car and go through every door jamb, mirror, and everything. So yeah, now that I'm all done with blowing the whole car out, I'll get in and I'll keep the door jambs clean. So I'll use another separate microfiber towel and go around, because you know there's a lot of moisture that, you know, that's kept in there, and you don't want that, you know, rushing out when you start driving. So I like to use this McGuire's Hot Shine Reflected. I've noticed this one really lasts a while, because I detail, you know, people on a regular, and I'll go about 2 weeks and their tires still look decent, you know, using this stuff. And then, you know, I don't use this for wheel wells. I have a separate spray that I use. But you could always just use this for your wheel wells, just to give it an extra protection. That way you won't get all that dirt, and it'll have a little bit of repellent, because this does have a little bit of repellent to it. So let me top it off and let's show the results. Alright guys, so here we have it. Nice and clean Honda Accord. You know, unfortunately this road is you know, gravel, so my tires always end up dirty. Alright, so these are basically my go-to waxes. This Colonite industrial wax, Colonite 845. If you guys are interested, you guys could look it up. This is some real good stuff. The only downside is that you got to be in a shaded area. So I also, you know, carry a bottle of this, the Meguiar's Ultimate Liquid Wax. This wax is phenomenal too. You know, it's a synthetic wax, but it's actually, you could actually apply this one under the sun. So that's basically a plus for me, especially being mobile. If I'm stuck in, you know, in a spot where I don't have any shade, you know, it's definitely my go-to. You know, they say it lasts about 6 months, but I never go really by the manufacturers because, you know, they just say just to pretty much sell stuff. You know, I basically, like I said, you know, just watch the way your paint's beating and, you know, apply another layer. So the CRX is looking clean. As you guys seen, this was the first car I washed. You know, sadly there's no gloss to this one. You know, the carbon fiber hood is looking good. Well guys, there you guys have it. You know, a proper way to wash your Honda. You know, let's try to keep these cars looking fresh, you know, as long as we can, especially the older ones. You know, these are the jewels, you know, the best looking cars ever, you know. So we gotta preserve them. And if you still got an original paint like that Accord does, you know, you wanna protect it and keep it there, you know, that way it's OEM as long as possible. So definitely keep on waxing your cars and keep them clean and wash them safe, you know. I hope I helped somebody out there. Well guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.